Hi guys, and welcome back to the No Gluten Zone. I create content for people who have what I call food issues, and that can be sensitivities, intolerances, allergies, or just autoimmune issues that affect your diet. So today I want to talk to you about navigating the holidays. They are upon us, and I just wanted to talk about that, especially when you're newly diagnosed, or even if you've been diagnosed for a little while and you still feel like you're struggling through the holiday season time. Sometimes we have the rest of the year down and then holidays hit, and it can be a real bummer when you have food issues. Hi guys, I just wanted to interrupt your video for one moment. First, I wanted to say a huge thank you to all the people who did subscribe and helped me meet my goal of 500 subscribers. And now I'm onward in my journey and hoping to get more subscribers. So if you're viewing this and you're not subscribed, I would so appreciate if you would consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. That way I know how to plan for future videos. Thank you so much. I so appreciate each and every one of my viewers and subscribers out there. Now back to your... So I want to first say, I had a video in the past about when you're newly diagnosed and how you need to look into yourself and see what do you need to feel satisfied as far as what you eat for your meals throughout the day. That's your starting point. So it's the same thing with the holidays. You need to think about how you grew up with holidays, how you're dealing with them now prior to diagnosis, and that will help you deal with this better, in my opinion. And so I am going to share my own experience. For me, food-wise, the biggest holiday is Thanksgiving. I think we kind of had a set menu for Thanksgiving and Easter when I was growing up. I don't remember a set meal for like Christmas or New Year's. I know we had like a special meal usually, but it wasn't like the same meal every year. For me, Easter was ham, and I don't like ham. I don't like pork. That's just something I have never liked. So that is not like an issue for me, like expecting ham on Easter. So I don't have that same connection to any other holiday except Thanksgiving, because I loved the food that we ate for Thanksgiving. So when I was very, very young, my family actually would go out to the desert in our motorhome. If you're familiar with Southern California, it was the Anza Borrego Desert. And these are my earliest Thanksgiving memories. And I don't know how my mom did it. She's amazing. She would cook the entire Thanksgiving dinner in the motorhome. I don't know. We had a 4-day weekend off from school, and we would head out there. I think we would leave on Wednesday, like when we got out of school, and go out there. And my mom would cook this whole entire meal in the motorhome. Like, that's just... I do travel in a motorhome. I love having my gluten-free kitchen in my motorhome, but I honestly cannot imagine cooking a Thanksgiving dinner in there. That's just props to my mom, like seriously. And that's probably why we didn't continue that forever, because then after that we would eat at home, and it was just us. It was just my parents, my siblings, and myself. A lot of people do Thanksgiving with an extended family and that sort of thing. We never did that. That was not something my family did. It was still a very special day. We ate at our like special table, like that was only used for guests. We used special dishes that was like for special occasions and stuff. And it was a very special menu offering, I guess I would call it. And it was pretty standard. We would have a turkey, we would have stuffing, or some people call it dressing. There was cranberry sauce, which I don't like. I remember peas, which I didn't like peas as a kid. I do like them now, but more so if they're like mixed with something else. We had mashed potatoes. I might be forgetting stuff. I know we used to have baked sweet potatoes or yams. They were just baked, and I still will eat them baked with just butter and salt on them, and I love them like that. I do remember having those. And then there was this radio show that my parents listened to, and there was like a cooking recipe segment on it, And they got this recipe from there for these Hawaiian sweet potatoes or Hawaiian yams, I forget. And my mom used to make that, and I now have the recipe, and I have carried on that tradition because I loved them so much. But I only make them for Thanksgiving to keep them special. And so later on, that was the sweet potato or yam component of the dinner. That's what I remember. Like beyond that, my memories escape me, because then at the age of 12, my parents separated. My first Thanksgiving after my parents separated, was the only one I spent with extended family. We went to my aunt's house, and that was a lot of fun. Like eating new things I had never eaten for Thanksgiving and being with other family members like that. That was really fun. And then after that, it was just going to restaurants. And I never really enjoyed that. I don't know, I felt like most restaurants were like trying to take your traditional things and make them fancy or different in some way. It's just not something I'm looking for. I like it kind of straightforward and simple. And then when I started dating, I would go, wherever my boyfriend was spending Thanksgiving, I'd tag along and see what are they serving and how are they eating. Like it was kind of that exploring, what other families do kind of phase. Once I was married, I married into a pretty big, set of in-laws, and they had their traditions and things. And so my husband has 3 siblings, so between the 4 of them, and then with his mom too, back in that time. She has since passed. But my husband was the one who always did the turkey. He was known for that. So I have never actually cooked a turkey. I'm sure I could do it. I've cooked whole chickens. It's just like a really big chicken. He has always been the one to handle the turkey. And other people would bring in sides, like side dishes and things. Once we married though, we took over like doing more of it. And then later on at some point, his siblings said like, we want to like split the holidays. So between Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, that's 4 holidays, and there were 4 of them. And they said they would each host 1 holiday. So no one was getting stuck with hosting more than 1 holiday, because it's a lot of work to host. It is. And so at that point, I was already gluten-free. And I asked my husband, I thought, this is when I was first thinking about these things. And I thought, there's no other holiday where I really care what I'm eating. I don't have any expectations for the food for that holiday. And so I asked my husband if we could like permanently host Thanksgiving. That way I could just pig out and eat everything and enjoy myself and get what I need out of that holiday. And he said yes, because he loved doing the turkey. That was his thing. And so that's what we did until my in-laws have all moved out of state now. So it's really just us now. My husband still does the turkey. I do the sides and the dessert, and we do everything gluten-free still, like we have ever since I was diagnosed. But I still use like my same recipes. I just convert like pumpkin pie. I switch to a gluten-free crust. Stuffing, I use the exact same cornbread stuffing recipe that I always used, and I just substitute in gluten-free bread and gluten-free cornbread. Sometimes I just make them myself, because especially cornbread, it's hard to find gluten-free. So I'll just like make those and then dry them out and then proceed with the recipe. For the other holidays, I would either eat before I went, or I would just pack a meal and take it with me. And for other holidays, I don't have an expectation of what I'm going to be eating or feel like I'm missing out if I'm not eating a certain thing. So it didn't matter. Like I could seriously take a protein shake with me, or, just pack whatever, and I would be good. If you're not able to host a lot, like especially for Thanksgiving, and there's a lot of like dedicated gluten-free restaurants and places that allow you to order ahead of time your meal, and you can take your meal with you. And so that is also an option to consider. But I will say, if I was not able to host Thanksgiving, I would still I would make my yams, I would make my stuffing, and then I would probably cheat on the turkey. I do love turkey. I have always said if I could only have one meat for the rest of my life, it would be turkey. So I do love turkey. But I would probably buy a turkey breast and cook it. Or if I couldn't even pull that off, Costco has in the refrigerator, the little turkey breast portions, I could take that and, you know, cut slices off of it, because it's like a big chunk, it's a big thing, and you cut your slices the sizes you want, because for that I don't really want like thin sandwich slices. I kind of want thicker, chunkier slices. So I could buy that, and I would make my plate and take it with me, or eat it at home. But if I'm eating at home, I would probably make it a little more elaborate. But whatever it is, the point is for you to ask yourself, analyze what it is you are used to having and what you need to not feel like you're missing out. So many times people tell me like they don't want me to feel like I'm missing out, and like I don't, you know. It's nice that they care, but I feel like they don't need to worry that much. Like I will meet my needs and take care of what it is I need to make sure I don't feel like I'm missing out. But I do worry that there are people out there who still feel like they're missing out. And so that's the point of this video, is for you to be able to figure out what you need out of a holiday to make sure you're not missing out. And, you know, not just holidays, but anytime you're going somewhere. A lot of people say, like, if they're going to someone's house and it's like, you know, you're supposed to bring a dish. Sometimes, honestly, sometimes I just don't. Because once I bring it and people start eating off of it, it could be cross-contaminated. It's no longer accessible to me. It just depends on the situation, but sometimes that just feels like such a waste. Or else I'll just grab something that's ready to take in a grocery store. That's easier, and then I don't want that anyways. But depending on the situation, who it is, on the situation, sometimes I will make something and take it, and then I have something for myself on the side already packed that I'm going to eat, and not need to eat off of the thing that I brought, because it's going to be cross-contaminated. And then I never bring it home after. I always tell people, like, this is going to go in the trash, so if somebody wants to take it or eat it or whatever, do that, because I can't take this back into my house. I always make that very clear. But that's the way I tend to navigate things. People can be annoyed if you don't take something when everyone else is taking something. I mean, the way I see it, honestly, is I'm not eating any of that, so I don't see why I should have to bring and contribute to it. You know, I see if you're eating out of there, then you need to contribute something. But if I'm not, if I just have my own little meal here and I'm not using any of that, I shouldn't have to contribute. But some people get annoyed with that. They don't understand that, and it bothers them that you came and you didn't contribute, even though you're not taking from it. Like, I don't know. So some people do get annoyed. So when I'm going to something like that, it depends, like, how well do I know them? How much do I care about how they feel? Will it affect me or bother me if they're annoyed with me or not? Sometimes not, depending who the person is. Sometimes I just don't care, and I'm not gonna waste my time making something. Other times, it can be a great opportunity to show people that gluten-free foods taste just as good, and I will take something to kind of wow them. But other times I will just grab something like, you know, a tray of fruit or veggies or something from the grocery store, and just take that, find the easy way out. And like I said, sometimes I just don't take anything. And if they ask, I will say, like, well, I'm not eating from that. I just have my own personal meal here. But I have seen a lot of people say that they will make something and take it to share. My issue is that it's going to be cross-contaminated. Once it's there on the buffet line, like, I can't touch it anymore. So that comes down to the situation and how you feel about it, and, you know, who's asking you to come, who's asking you to bring something. You know, if you know them well enough to explain your situation, or they know your situation, they might totally be okay with you not bringing anything. But in other cases, maybe you don't want them to be annoyed with you, so you just go ahead and bring. And then there's, like I said, there's other situations where I want to show them, like, how good gluten-free food can taste, and I definitely want to bring something. So it comes down to that too. But definitely think about your upbringing and how you dealt with holidays, if you had a particular menu. Because it's the same thing when you get married. You marry into a family who had their own ways of dealing with holidays while you had yours, and you have to find a way to mesh those together. And that can be hard sometimes. It's kind of like that. It's like, now you have this health issue that is affecting how you approach holidays and food. And you just have to find a way to mesh that together and hopefully still be content and happy with the outcome. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you do some soul searching and understand yourself better and be happier with holidays. Because I see so many people who are just trying to survive holidays instead of enjoy them. And I think that's really, really sad. So that's really all I have to say. I hope this was helpful. God bless you guys. Have a great day and enjoy those holidays.